Kim, did the text go out? I didn't see a
There you go.
text.
They've been going out late.
Yeah, so we're working on all that kind of stuff. But good morning, everybody. We'll go ahead and record this here. We'll see kind of where we go. We got a smaller group today, but just a reminder: if you are watching the recording, we do this every Tuesday morning here at Freedom Team. Just a way to help with transactions and mastermind a little bit, different ideas. The first Tuesday of every month, we kind of open it up for anything and everything. So anyway, no particular topic today, although Kathy has a couple things. We'll dive into some stuff, kind of see where things are going here. But some newer agents. Tyler, real quick, how's it going for you? I know you just got licensed here. You're working with your dad. You know, how's that working with your dad?
It's going pretty well. I mean, there are times where it's like a little unclear of like what I should do or like what he has planned for us, but we're trying to get a lot of stuff set up at the moment. So it's getting there. I would say it's going to pick up in probably the next couple months.
Yeah.
Especially like I've helped him work on some deals. I've shown some houses, and then I'm trying to get like my own like potential clients as well. I'm working up with a potential buyer up in Woodland Park. She's a teacher, so
Nice.
Showed her a couple of homes, but she's just been pretty busy at the moment, and I've just been trying to get her pre-approved. So I'm in the early stages of everything, but
Building it up.
it's getting.
Do you have kvCore set up?
So we do have kvCore set up, but we're mostly focusing on Chime, and we're trying to like use that. So we're still trying to figure all that out.
Okay.
So I haven't used kvCore since I first started a couple of months ago.
Okay.
So Chime is what we've been mostly focusing on.
Gotcha. Well, just so you know, Kim, we're working on getting this set up. Kim's going to have she's got a whole system set up now to help train and really get people going in kvCore. I'm actually going to go through it myself because I've got it set up, but I'm not using it.
And me too.
You know, I want to get bring in as many leads as I can. Rachel, good morning. Can you hear us? Sure, she can unmute anyway.
Yeah,
Rachel's
I can hear you.
There you go.
Sorry, I'm
How are
not
you?
feeling very well this morning. So.
Oh, really? I'm sorry. Okay. So, Kathy, do you want to just bring up that scenario? You want to talk a little bit about that? Kind of.
Well, let's do this first. Let's see if anybody has anything. You know, today is just an open mastermind discussion, and so let's first open it up and does anybody have any situation or anything they want to throw out, or are you doing anything fun for the holidays where your clients are you know, for your clients? Let's open it up just for some input from anybody to start. And then I've got, you know, I do have a situation I'll throw out later, but anybody?
Let me unmute Jackie. She unmuted herself. Let's see.
Oh.
Well, we'll see if she unmutes again. Jackie, if you had a question or a comment, unmute yourself and you can come back on here. There was just a lot of noise there, so I muted you so we could hear Kathy. But feel free to jump in. Good morning, Brian. How are you? Hey, so does anybody have any scenarios right now? Any, like Kathy said, anything you guys are? We did a Christmas party this weekend for clients. We had a house full. We ended up doing it at our house. We thought about getting a place to go do it. We just decided let's just do it here and just make it more personal. It was a lot of work, but it was really, really good. We had probably close to 100 people all together between clients and kids. A lot of kids running around this house on Sunday afternoon.
You were brave doing that at home with the kids.
Yeah, no, it was fun though. You know, I mean, people loved it. I mean, we had nothing but, I mean, the feedback was awesome. In fact, I know Lane was talking this morning. I think we even have, you know, possibly even a couple deals coming out of it already. I mean, just, you know, the conversations that we were having along the way. It was really good. Just pulling people together. You know, Santa was here and, you know, had a cookie decorating thing and a Christmas ornament making thing, stuff in the basement set up for the kids to do, and then all kinds of food and stuff that we brought in, and it was fun. It was good. You know, I think to do that kind of stuff, I don't know. Every time we've ever done something with clients, we always get business from it in terms of some sort of event or whatever. It always pays off, you know, in multiple ways. So
is anybody doing anything for like a client party, client appreciation this month? Anybody got anything that they're doing or have done?
I've got a party for all of my agents and my specific marketing team that I use, True West Realty Group. I used to do them when I was a broker. I would do twice a year. I would do a kind of summer kickoff party where it got real busy in the summer, and then we go out to the lake and kind of have fun. And then I would do a Christmas party early in December so I could get ahead of everyone else's Christmas parties. And we've got one tomorrow night. It's gonna be at my house this year, so we're gonna do that. So it's fun. I mean, we're gonna do White Elephant. I've got it catered. Got a title company I partner with that's gonna help with that. So
That's
we got
awesome.
set up.
Yeah, very cool.
Which that brings up a good point. You know, when you're doing these things, these parties or these client events, it doesn't always have to be around Christmas. I mean, like Sean said, he does twice a year. And I would encourage if y'all aren't doing client events to do at a minimum of one a year, ideally two a year, because that's the best way to get in front of all your clients, you know, at one time. And even if they don't come, the invite goes almost as far, or does go as far as the, you know, as the ones that do show up, right? Because you're just going to stay top of mind, you know, they're going to feel appreciated, all those things. And like Sean, anytime we've ever done anything like that, we always have sponsors, and you can pretty much zero cost it, right? You know, you can get your lender, you can get your title company, you can get your home inspectors, whomever, you can get a group of people to co-sponsor like all the food and whatever else, the venue, if you're paying for a venue, all those things. And we've always, like Jeff said, we've always had a lot of success when doing those events. Last year, no, not last year. Heck, it's probably been pre-COVID now. Time flies. In October, I had a fall event where it was bring your pet, bring your dog, like for pictures. And I had bought all these multiple different sizes. I had bought all these different costumes for them to dress their dog up in. And I had a pet mobile grooming service that was there. Anyway, and like I had a professional photographer, like everybody, you know, like babies, they love their dogs, right? And so I had all these different costumes to dress them up with, had the professional photographer take pictures, and then just sent those pictures out to them afterwards. People loved it. Like it was, you know, just different.
That's fun.
But I'm like, anyway, it was just different. And I bought I went on Marketplace and I was like, hey, does anybody have any dog costumes they want to sell? So I bought a bunch of them for cheap. And then I needed some for a couple of different sizes I didn't really have enough of, because they didn't want just one in each size. And then I just went on Amazon and bought, you know, 4 or 5 others. So, I mean, it cost me like $200 plus the photographer. That particular one, I didn't have it sponsored, but yeah, like you can just do all kinds of fun and creative ideas.
Very cool. Michelle, how are you? Yeah, go ahead, Michelle.
Good, I'm good. Sorry, I'm a little bit late joining. I don't know
Good,
if
you're
anybody
good.
talked about it, but I didn't myself have a party, but one of the greatest producers from my prior company who, you know, did really well because she also did staging. But what she did every year, and she was known for the old company, they used to do a little haunted house in one of our locations. And she was the head of that. But besides that, I mean, she gained a reputation for that. She had a huge Halloween party at her house that she went all out for, with decorations and themes, and, you know, like her whole entire house was Halloween like crazy. And then she would have an insane, amazing costume, but she did super well. She's my hero.
That's very cool.
That's fun.
One of the things I think right now, like, and this is, you know, like on Sunday here at our house, again, all these people here, I can't tell you how many conversations I had with people, like, and again, what I want to hit with is, I think it's so important to like be on top of what's going on right now in the market. I mean, you know, everybody, like the concern from people, like we had past clients, we had people we're working with right now. You know, we had people that are in our pipeline that have, you know, we've created, you know, some rapport with, whatever they're looking to buy somewhere down the road. But the conversations we were having, of course, you know, along the way, there's all these real estate conversations going on, you know, in addition to everybody just hanging out, having a good time. But I think you got to know what's going on to have those conversations. You got to read past the headlines. Just telling you, the headlines are so doom and gloom right now. And you got to get the right perspective on it, you know? And I got a couple things I could share my screen here if we want to. You want me, let me share
Yeah,
my
why
screen.
don't you go on and do it since you're
Let me
kind of
share my screen for just a second, because these are some things, like I'll just show you some of what I've like again. So let me just show you this. I had this up earlier because I was kind of digging through this, but like this was something that came out like, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, right? This was on Twitter. You know, homeowners have lost 1.5 trillion in equity since May as home prices drop. Now, if you read just that headline right there, it's like, holy cow, like this is horrible. You know, it's just like the sky is falling, right? But when you really dig, and this is from CNBC, when you really dig into this, though, it's like, you know, I mean, this is just things that I've pulled up here recently, and I'm always digging into this stuff, whatever. But it's like when you look at this, it's like, you know, the amount of equity that's available right now out there because of the way it's grown. I mean, so it's dropped. You know, here we are. It peaked out, you know, in the second quarter of this year. We've dropped 1.5 trillion, but there's still. You look at this going back to, you know, like look at what's available right now. It's the perspective. You know, I mean, we're still so far ahead of the game. You know, I saw this quote. You know, one of the things that I dig into. You know, homeowners have very high levels of tappable equity today, providing a cushion to withstand potential price declines, but also preventing housing distress from turning into a foreclosure. The result will likely be more of a foreclosure trickle than a tsunami. You know, we're starting to hear, you know, foreclosures they're ramping up. Get ready, foreclosures. I got an email yesterday. You know, are you certified for foreclosures? You know, it's almost like everybody's preparing for all this stuff. But you know, just to dig into it, you know, household debt soars at fastest pace in 15 years as credit card use surges. Again, if you read the headline, it's like, oh my goodness. But then when you look at this, it's like, you know, here's where we were, you know, in 2019 as far as credit card balances. Like, again, so it dropped, you know, the last few years, people, you know, the economy doing well, people paying off things, whatever. It's coming back up, but we're basically back up to where we were in 2019. Like, it's not like this. It's just if you can dig into this stuff and really get the true picture of what's going on, you can have these conversations with people where it's not like, no, the sky's not falling. It's not doom and gloom, you know?
Well, and to that point, Jeff, not only
Yeah.
having conversations, but I think even taking some of this to your social media, right?
Oh,
For
totally.
example,
No,
so you
absolutely.
take the CNBC article, put it up there, and then you put the opposing slide that you're sharing, you know, just saying, look, you know, you got to keep things in perspective. Don't just read the headlines and take yourself, you know, down a place. So I mean, I love what you're sharing here, and not only be knowledgeable about it as you're talking to your people, but like, you know, create yourself some social media content,
Oh, totally.
because then that's even going to open the door for conversations. People are going to be commenting, right? You know, it's going to open doors for conversations for you to have even offline with people.
Definitely. You know, this quote, for the second quarter in a row, the mortgage delinquency rate fell to its lowest level since MBA's survey began in 1979, declining to 3.45%. Foreclosure starts and loans in the process of foreclosure also dropped in the third quarter to levels further below their historical averages. So again, you look at this, like right now, in the third quarter, you know, you're ending in September, 88,000 foreclosure starts, you know, people going through that process. But you look at this, I mean, it dropped 2020 and 2021, there was a moratorium on foreclosure. So there was like nothing there. But look at 2019, 278,000, you know, whatever. And then you go back to, of course, you know, 2008, the Great Recession, we're 2 million. I mean, we're not even close.
Yeah.
Whatever. So again, it's like, you know, the headlines read like, my God, like, you know, like hunker down, you know, whatever. It's like, okay, we got to be smart. I'm not saying not, you know, be stupid with things, but again, if as realtors, I think it's important to dig into this. I was digging into all this stuff last week because I knew at our party, you know, we're going to be having these conversations, whatever, and I just wanted to be able to like, no, you're like, you know, so we're sitting down. I was sitting down at our dining room table out here with a couple. They're a young couple. You know, they're renting right now. They were talking about buying, whatever, but they kind of put the brakes on, whatever. So we were talking about how you can buy down the rates and all this kind of stuff, and I, you know. Their rent right now, their rent just went up last month. whatever. And I'm like, what's to stop that again? I mean, it's just, here's the forecast for rents. It's like, you're paying 100% interest right now.
Yeah.
Who cares about the 6%? And we can probably buy that down to 5 or maybe even lower, with that. So we had this great conversation. So now, we're setting them up on home search, all that kind of stuff. I don't know where that'll go. And I'm not trying to get them to do something that is, I don't want to do something that's not right for them, but it's getting that perspective out there and helping them to see it, let me look here real quick. I mean, numbers like, so September, and this is the most recent data. This is just from the last quarter. We don't have anything here for October, November, but things are still up basically 11% year over year. It's slowed down for sure. Okay. CoreLogic, whatever, you can see like, how things ran. This goes back to January of 2021 in terms of like net gain, home price appreciation. We're still seeing appreciation. It's definitely a decelerating rate. But if you look, the average, across the board over years and years and years is about a 3.8%
Right.
increase in price, year over year, average. So we're still above all that, even though it's, again, it's just not doom and gloom. Here's something I think is interesting. Like, again, we saw this peak up here. It's dropped, prices are coming down, whatever. But one thing that I thought was interesting, let me show this right here. So these are like the major markets that they're watching, right? If you look at this, 2017 to 2020, this was the home price appreciation during those, 17, 18, 19, 20, or whatever, 17, 18, 19, probably, okay? 13% Atlanta, 12%, 13%. Again, about that 3.8% on average per year. When you figure this out, here's Denver, about 4% a year. But then you look at what happened the last, 3 years, right? These huge increases, which we knew wasn't sustainable. But we're seeing those markets, the places where the prices exploded the biggest, those are the ones seeing the biggest drops. But even then, it's like you look at these percentage change, month over month, right here, you can see how prices are coming down. Okay. So I watched Denver here, 2%. The ones over 2, Dallas, Denver, Vegas, Phoenix, San Diego, San Francisco, Seattle, over 2% month over month. But here's the thing that's interesting.
Which is why it's interesting to me. Maybe let's talk about this for a second. Maybe dialogue about this a little bit, which is interesting to me. Why everybody thinks, and even like you said, you got an email about foreclosures and all. Like the appreciation has jumped so much in the last 24 months. There's so much room. There's so much room for decline decline in equity before homes foreclose. And so because of that, like I've been telling people for months now, like, I don't think we're going to see foreclosures at all, anything like
we're not
what we had, when back in 2008, 2009, 2010, because the appreciation has jumped so much at a ridiculous level. I mean, you got to lose almost 50% of your equity to fall in foreclosure for the average home.
Right. This is interesting here. If you look at like if prices drop 5%, it basically brings us back to where we were in February of this year. Okay. If they drop 10%, it takes us back to October. You can go all the way down 25% price depreciation.
Mm-hmm.
It takes us back to October of 2020.
Yeah.
Like there's been such a gain, and you're right, there's so much equity there. I just don't, again, there's a lot of room for people to do things if they need to without having to just go to foreclosure,
So does anybody have any thoughts around this? I mean, Sean, you've been around for a while. I mean, anybody got any, you may have more to share, Joe.
I want to share this right here. This is something that, again, like if you look at it, so this would be for October, San Diego prices dropped 2.8%, 4.3%, San Francisco, Denver right here north of me, 2.3%. But then in November, okay, these are November numbers. Prices dropped 2.1%, 2.9%, 2.9% in Denver. Like, so it's not dropping as quickly. Now, does this mean we're out of the woods? Not at all. But we're starting to see some of this. If this continues, we're going to kind of come back out of this here, really fairly quickly. to some degree, so it's just, things. Here's my point with all that. I think it's important to dig into this stuff, to be watching things, to really be doing your homework, at night when the kids go to bed, get on the computer and look around a little bit and read beyond the headlines, because the headlines, it's just that, again, bad news is what sells, and that's what they're doing. But I was digging into all this stuff last week because I knew we're having all these people over on Sunday. And I will tell you, I had a lot of conversations with people where it's like, oh, wow, I had no idea, I mean, there's a fear that's out there right now. And that, if you let fear drive you, it's that hunker down mentality. And I get it. I mean, if I didn't have to sell right now, I probably wouldn't sell, but it's not the end of the world. There's still a lot of room to sell. If you want to make a move and there's buyers, we can help them, and you can go find a great deal right now. I mean, here was one couple I was talking to. They actually had just bought a house a couple of months ago. And what they realized was, okay, rates are higher, but we got the house $100,000 less than it was priced for a year ago. The house they wanted, they looked at this house a year ago, they couldn't do it, and it ended up not selling, coming off the market, and they got it literally for $100,000 less. Rates a little bit higher, but they're like thrilled. You know what I mean? So it's just perspective on things. Sean, any thoughts on that? I saw you unmute yourself. I mean,
sure. I mean, I can talk about foreclosures quite a bit, but I was just, can you, Brad mentioned, can you throw those slides at us? I'd really like to get.
Yeah, me too. Can you put them in Workplace?
Yeah, I can upload them into Workplace.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
I do, training right after this one, and there's some good information to put things in perspective, right? Because we all had this fear that we're going to have this tsunami of foreclosures because the government kept forbearing or allowing people not to make mortgage payments, and then that eventually would come to an end, right? If you get to the point that you haven't made a mortgage payment in like a year, your income is not dependent on making that mortgage payment anymore, right? Everybody lives according to whatever's happening recently. So you thought, well, as soon as they have to start making it, they're not going to, and then all these houses would foreclose. Kathy made the point, though. I mean, unless you're losing 50% of your equity, which no one really is, then you've got an enormous buffer to offset until you can resolve that, right? Because you're not going to give up $100,000 of equity just because you haven't been making payments. You would dump it first.
Yeah.
That's what the line isn't showing, right? We all know that programs all went away, but the equity went up so fast it overcame the deficit of not making those payments or pushing back your loan 2 more years. It's fascinating that we don't really think about it in those terms, but seeing it like that allows you to have that intelligent conversation about it. I like it.
Right.
Well,
Just
and
important to have that. Go ahead.
I mean, Jeff and I have talked about this a couple of times, but I'll even challenge everybody on here, on your social media, do a live or record it talking about some of this stuff and then post it. If you don't want to go live, right? But you're going to get more views even that way. And so I'll put out a challenge for everybody to even do that.
For sure. Sean, I'm going to email you that right now. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you, Jeff. I probably will. I do a lot of different podcasts and stuff, but I'll probably talk something about that because I think people just totally miss this.
Yes.
And there's some real value, on some of that information for them to put things in perspective, right? Even in our market, Dallas, right? So we have this 2% drop. I get sellers that talk to me and said, hey, if you would have done it in the summer, your house is worth $500,000, right? But now we're selling now, it's probably closer to 450. I mean, it's just realistic. And we have this adjustment, not a depreciation, not, a fallout, not everything's falling apart, but we have an adjustment, that we need to make for in order to be able to move the property. So I like seeing it kind of like that because it went up so fast. Now the benefit to them is now they get the same drop on their purchase. And since most people move up, it's better for most homeowners to look at selling now, even if their house lost 50,000 equity, we're going to gain that 70,000 loss on the next one, right? We're going to get that benefit, and it's just good to show them in kind of that perspective.
Yeah.
Which that's a great point. If they're moving to go buy another house, whether it be here in another or in their current city or another city, they may lose the money on the sale, but they're going to make it up on the buy. So yeah, that's another good point.
I'll give you one other killer point. I heard this the other day. So it's better for a buyer today to take a 7% loan and not have to pay the $50,000 to win the house.
Overpriced. That's right. I know.
Even at 3%, that $50,000 cannot be refinanced. It's gone.
Yeah.
Now you save that money on the front end, and even at the high interest rate, at least you can refi the lower total note.
Yeah.
Just another point.
That's a great point.
That's a great point.
And just
Yeah,
to have that
50K
conversation with your,
loft. Yeah, that's great. That's a great point to, yeah. Yeah, to,
Brian, you unmuted yourself. Did you have a couple thoughts?
No, to Sean's comment, yeah, I see, we ran some numbers on a home the other day, same thing, just it was a lot more beneficial even at the rates today, buying versus, overpaying, for a home. We ran that for a buyer and it made a lot of sense. So he's right. And we did some training on it with a mortgage broker as well. They went through that stuff. So that was good. The only other thing I was going to say was, I don't know if you track the pre-foreclosure stuff here in Springs, Jeff, and like last week, because I get the email from Brian, Miller over at Empire all the time, and I don't know if you do or not. You were, anyways, but I mean, there was only 20 homes, that were in that position, and I'm sure most of them would probably get sold, prior to them even going through that process.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, I
just,
remember back 2008, I mean, every week, the sale, downtown public trustee's office. I mean, every week there'd be 100, 120
yeah.
every week. That's what it was. It was crazy. We're not
Yeah.
even, we're nowhere
Very
near
prevalent.
that.
Yeah.
But again, my point, if you read the headlines, it's like, oh my God, get ready.
Right.
It's just, so again, I think but it's important to get educated on this stuff so that you can have those kind of conversations. And like Kathy said, I think it's a great point. It makes me want to just like, okay, when I'm done here, let me just go on. I would go on like Zoom and just do a 10-minute
that's
recording.
exactly what I was
Show
thinking.
those
yeah.
slides,
Showing
whatever. It
mhm.
doesn't need to be polished, and then just upload that recording to
Yep,
Facebook, YouTube, all these kind of things. Just a quick perspective on things.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I was just thinking that same thing about doing that same thing with once I have the slides, kind of just recording and showing the slides, talking and then post it. So,
for sure.
yeah.
For sure. Definitely. Let's see.
Any other comments around that or thoughts anybody has? If not, we can move on to a different topic.
What's everybody doing these next few weeks as far as, gearing up here for the new year? It's a great time. It's a little bit slower time. I think, if you haven't done it yet in terms of just some business planning and goals and, like sharpening the skills a little bit, it is a great time typically to do that. I know for myself, I'm flying out today to Indianapolis, and I've got Audible, on my phone. I'm going to have a lot of driving I'm doing around, Indiana back there, some agents I'm working with, and then see some family. But, there's a audio. I've got a book. It's a Jim Rohn book, How to Have Your Best Year Ever. There's a DVD that he did, a long time ago, whatever, but there's a book that he wrote about that. And so I downloaded that audio because it's about 6 hours. I'm going to listen to that while I'm driving. It's just that time of year when I start digging into some of that kind of stuff. This is a really good book. If you've never read this book, people want to make their resolutions. This is a good one. Resolved, it's called 13 Resolutions for Life. It's a great book. There's stuff in here on leadership and finances and, all
Is it
kinds
real
of.
estate?
It's not real estate, no.
Okay.
But just a great book on just goals and just, it's a great book at the begining of the year.
I've never heard that. Is it,
really
is it a new book?
No, it's been out for the
Oh.
guy that wrote it, Orrin Woodward. It was written in 2011. He's got all these different things in here on, chapter 1, purpose, chapter 2, character, chapter 3, attitude, chapter 4, vision, plan and do, scoreboard, friendship, finance, leadership, conflict resolution, systems, legacy, all kinds of stuff. But it's a really good book. It's a good one to read. So anyway, good time of year to be pulling out some of that kind of stuff, and digging in and getting yourself ready. So much of what we're dealing with right now, the agents that get through this. I mean, we talked about this the other day. I think it was Monday on one of the Zooms or yesterday. I forget, but so much of this is up here, for us as agents. I mean, it can be a head game. been
Well,
around.
and
been
you know,
around.
we were talking about like it's not all doom and gloom, but stay talking about that. Like we do have to buckle down. It's been quote unquote easy for the last couple of years. And I do think, you know, going along with what you're talking about, we've got to get focused and serious on our business moving into 2023 because things have shifted. They are shifting. Who knows how much more they'll shift? None of us have that crystal ball. But it is a good time to really, you know, plan what are you going to be doing next year to really drive business to yourself. I mean, I don't know about the rest of y'all on here, but my own self, I mean, I've gotten into coast mode the last 2 years, right? I mean, it's just been, as far as the real estate stuff, it's just, you know, been referrals that are coming to me, that type of thing. But now is the time we've got to be very intentional about reaching out to our past clients. You know, we already talked about doing some events and really staying in front of those people and doing additional things, you know, like we're talking about shooting a video, just getting out there on social media. You know, I don't know how people feel about buying leads, but now is the time I feel like, you know, I was on another mastermind call and one of the agents, icon agents with EXP, you know, he said, you know, we've been through three downturns in our career. And what we see when downturns happen is most agents pull back with their marketing and their spending and all because they, you know, get in that fear mode. He's like, but now for us, what we've always done is poured the gas on. And we've not pulled back on the things that we're doing. Matter of fact, we, you know, stepped it up another level. And so just things to think about, like what, you know, to just question, what is anybody doing anything consciously and on purpose for going into 2023 to really start setting your year up? Because now we're actually behind the 8 ball. Like now is the time to be doing that because we know what we do today pays out 30, 60 days later. So has anybody intentionally set anything up or have any plans going in, you know, to the first of the year that they're doing or multiplying efforts in that they want to share, that they, you know, feel like is going to work for them and be beneficial?
Kathy, I'm working on a lot of Google stuff. Working on, you know, doubling up on, you know, Google click ads and stuff like that, you know, for listings and I'm you know, spending a little money trying to, you know, produce leads and bring stuff in and working on, you know, fine tuning the CRM and drip campaigns and things of that nature as well. So that's kind of one of my focuses because honestly, you know, we set our goals really high this year and we want to try to double our business again. That's my intention, whether we get there or not. But you know, we're going to shoot for them and see what we can do.
Nice. Well, you talked about, you know, doing more ads and things like that. You know, one thing I'll mention maybe right here, and Kim, you can talk a little bit about it, but Kim has been working very diligently on kvCore and has really learned that system in and out. And so for the Freedom Team, Kim is going to offer a service, and this is what wasn't even going here when I brought this up a second ago, but something you said, I thought, well, now's a good time. But Kim's going to be offering the service. If you don't have your kvCore set up, and certainly if you don't have any CRM, you get that with EXP. You get that as part of your $85 a month. I'm going to encourage agents. You know, I talk to agents all the time across the country, and it's unbelievable how many agents don't have CRMs. And kvCore is one of the most powerful CRMs that there is. And so Kim, you know, for a small fee, she's going to set up anybody that wants to reach out to her. She'll set your whole kvCore up. You can have her doing some drip campaigns, you know, for you with additional. Kim, do you want to like touch, just highlight like what service that you're offering for the Freedom Team and where they can get that information if they want to reach out to you. But
Sure.
this would be a great thing to roll into 2023, getting yourself set up on it and implementing the tools that we have to drive leads to yourself.
Yeah, you're given this amazing CRM. It's the Ferrari of CRMs. It comes with a lot of bells and whistles, and you got to learn the bells and whistles in order to drive it. And so what we're going to do is show you all the bells and whistles, show you how to personalize everything. So it sounds like you, comes from you. And ultimately, when you get kvCore running and designed out the way you want it, it's going to run your life. It's going to, tell you, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. Contact this person. We already did this kind of thing. So that would be a great way to get into the new year, by just getting so organized that you check in with kvCore every day, and it's gonna, it's gonna kind of give you your tasks for the day and let you start going. So we're gonna train you on all those things. We're also gonna help you by, if you want, we have a done for you kind of service where we'll do some of the marketing services in your kvCore for you, just to keep the background going and keep the engine running, such as blog posts and social media posts and things like that we'll do for you. So you can focus on contacting our clients and being out away from the computer where you should be. This is going to be personal and group, so you can hear from others and we can get bigger ideas. But it's going to be personal, where we help you customize it the way you want it.
So Kim, if somebody wants more info on that, how do you want them to connect with you on that?
Best way is probably workplace chat, and that's Kimberly Herrera.
Awesome. Well, let's shift gears. I kind of wanted to bring something up today that just happened with one of my agents, and it was just a good reminder as I was kind of helping her even maneuver through that. So one of our experienced agents, she had a seller, and the deal literally 12 hours before closing fell apart because the buyer didn't have peace about the deal. The financing was fine, everything was fine. They had done their walkthrough on Friday afternoon. They were supposed to close yesterday morning at 8 a.m. She gets a text from the buyer's agent at 8 p.m. that my buyer's not going to closing at 8 a.m. tomorrow. So the the listing agent had been in conversations through the whole transaction with the lending agent. Matter of fact, with the lender even wanted to close early last week. They were ready to go. The buyer didn't want to do that. The seller, through the negotiations on repairs, ended up, it was like 20 grand in repairs. The buyer was very difficult through the process, needed new HVAC, just things like that. So at the 11th hour, the buyer walks. Well, NAR stats, I don't know if y'all have seen it, but about 37% of the deals are falling through for different reasons. They're just falling through. And so the point to bringing that up is this house was a $370,000 house, $375,000 house. A couple of things that I wanted to share is they had only collected $1,000 in earnest money. So I don't know, it's customary in everybody's market, but kind of 1% is sort of customary. But a lot of times with first-time home buyers, this buyer was doing FHA, right? So typically those buyers don't have a whole lot of cash. But all of us have on a $300,000 house, $350,000 house, have probably accepted contracts with $1,000 earnest money, right? And so just a thought, with so many deals, according to NAR, falling apart now, you want to have enough earnest money if you're listing the house to at least make it a little bit painful for a buyer, not just to change their mind right at the 11th hour. And so another conversation has started happening. I brought this up on another mastermind. call that we were having, and an agent, I thought this was good because he just went through, so let me back up. So she'd seek legal counsel on this, which I had always heard this to be the case. She had sought legal counsel on, because the natural thought is, well, can't the seller just sue him for performance? And they can, but that process takes anywhere from 2 to 3 years. And you're tying your house up, all those things. So usually it's just easier for the seller just to put the house back on the market. And so as we're going through shifting markets and buyers are getting cold feet and whatever, maybe their interest rates jumped a little bit from what they thought, they didn't have it locked in for whatever reason, you want to have enough earnest money to make it a little more painful. But on this other mastermind, the thought process goes to, okay, as much earnest money as I can get is better, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. But this agent just shared, they just went through this was a whole nother situation, just went through a process that he said it's not always easy, if the buyer wants to walk and they want to get, maybe they put 20 grand up on as earnest money, they're going to probably fight for that $20,000. Where if, it's all relative to the price of the house, but if they put it $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, it's going to cost them more to fight for that money back than it is just to forego it, right? And so that was another thought, that kind of came out of this whole discussion after this situation with this agent. So I just wanted to bring that situation up because, buyers are flaking right now. Buyers are just flaking. And this was, and another thing that the legal counsel on that told, obviously we need to seek legal counsel if things like that go awry at the 11th hour. But she was told, like, your seller, even though the buyer is saying, I'm not showing up, I'm not closing, I'm not going to be there, your seller needs to carry through the whole contract, meaning your seller needs to go sign. They need to do all the things that they were going to do. And so they did. They showed up for closing yesterday. They signed all the documents. And the contract legally expired yesterday. But there is some discussion going on that there may be some saving grace. This buyer may end up showing up today, and doing an amendment and all because the lawyer put some fear into them. But anyway, any thoughts around that? Or I just thought it was a good reminder, we all just deal with craziness sometimes. And it was a good reminder really specifically around earnest money and what we're doing when we're representing a seller and how much money are we collecting to protect in case the buyer just decides they don't have peace and they're not showing up for closing.
That's interesting.
Crazy is the word.
It is. Yeah,
that
no, I know.
would use. I'm just like, people just, these sellers had moved out the day before. It's just crazy. I'm like, what is wrong with people? But that's a side point. They did their walkthrough on Friday. Supposedly everything's all good. Agent text the seller's agent, which is our EXP agent, text the seller's agent on Sunday afternoon about 2 or 3 o'clock, hey, the buyer wants the dollhouse. I guess there was some kind of dollhouse thing outside in the yard and the swing set removed. It wasn't part of the contract at all. And they want that removed. And she was like, my seller's probably not going to do that. They already moved out, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, she reached out. Her seller, she's told me a million times, is just the sweetest, wonderful people. They bought a gift basket, left it Friday for them people to do when they did their walkthrough, all this stuff for the buyer. They went over there in the evening on Sunday night and did all that. They sent pictures, which she forwarded to the agent, and she just said, just out of the goodness of their heart, the seller went over there and removed the swing set out of the yard and that. 2 hours later, she gets the text, the buyer's not closing. So, I don't know. But anyway, the point is, just as an education point, for us to just be mindful as we always should be, right? But mindful, about things like the earnest money
Right.
and staying on top of, she's a very good agent, very diligent in her work. And she did stay in touch. This didn't fall apart at all because of financing. But again, as agents, as listing agents, we want to make sure that we are in conversation with lenders along the way and making sure. I never just take a pre-approval letter or a pre-qualification letter for what, there's always an out on there anyway, subject to final underwriting guidelines or it's not final underwriting. I always pick up the phone and have a verbal conversation with the lender because I want to hear in their tone how they talk about the qualification, right? If they're like, yeah, we should be fine or we should be okay, versus, oh, these people are solid buyers. I say no problem. I get a feel when I'm talking to a lender out of their tonality, the things they say, the things they don't say, right? And so if you're not calling your lender during the process, and I'm sure everybody on here is, it's just another reminder, of doing our due diligence, as being a good realtor.
On that note, I wanted to also say it's very important that any communications that we have with the other agent or whomever, that it be either text or email so that we can cover our butts. Because I had a deal go south where I was representing a Canadian seller for their Florida holiday house. And I was working with a buyer's agent who, I think was from another country. She had a bit of an accent. Her buyers had a bit of an accent. So I didn't want to be discriminatory. And I think she was a newer agent. So I think I helped her a lot, explained a lot of things, but I covered every detail because we had a lot of delays and we were really trying to help these people get this house. So we had several extensions. And then like the last one was like written very plainly, like if we don't make this deadline, the good faith deposit will be lost. So, and that is what happened. It failed in the last minute. And I was talking to the lender quite frequently to see what was going on. And we're waiting and waiting. And then finally the deposit was lost. And like a week or two later, after everything was said and done, and even the release and cancellation form showed that, the seller was retaining the deposit. A week or two later, she's like, so my customers are wondering if they're getting their money back. I'm like, no, you see the addendum, you see all these texts where I laid it out for you. And if there's a communication issue, it's very plain. Yes, they're going to lose their deposit. So that's my point. Just put it all in writing.
Definitely always good to have in writing for sure. Like none of us ever expect to walk into court, through our processes, but it happens. Obviously, sometimes it happens. And the court's not going to care anything about what you said, she said. They're going to want to see everything, what's been in writing. And so, yeah, good point. I mean, we all have horror stories. Again, this just happened this week, and I walked with that agent through that process, and we had a lot of dialogue and a lot of conversation. And, that's one of the things at the end I said, the lesson that we can learn through this is we need to be diligent and mindful about our earnest money we're collecting on the front end. We can't just be lackadaisia and not pay attention to that detail and just think everything's going to be fine. Most of the time if contracts fall through, it's because financing or, you can't come to a consensus on repairs, things like that, where the buyer does get the earnest money back. But I mean, people are brazen these days.
Yeah. I'm gonna bring up something here. I'm gonna share my screen one more time. Anybody subscribe to Inman News? Do you guys subscribe to Inman? Some do, some don't. If you don't, it's good to do. It's like $100 a year or something like that. But it definitely keeps you up on what's going on with real estate, just in terms of a lot of business things, companies and different things, whatever. But also there's just every week there's really good, like just training things and ideas and all kinds of stuff. There was an article last week that came out, and I just want to share this here. Maybe to wrap it up with this, if anybody has any other thoughts, we can certainly go there. But this guy, he posts on here all the time, whatever. But this was good. Find out how I generated 11 million in listings in only 3 months. And what he's doing basically is, like he talks about this, how once a day, 5 days a week, whatever, he sends out, a CMA, a video CMA to somebody. Okay. So like right here, just to go through this for a minute, because I thought this was really interesting. It takes about 30 minutes a day, but what he's done. So right here, let's just look at this. As prices have increased over the past couple of years, so is the opportunity for many homeowners to work from home or wherever they choose. These options have led many homeowners who usually would have stayed in their current homes for a decade or more to reconsider all their options. The best way to add value to homeowners right now is to provide an updated comparative market analysis of their home. Agents have historically done this with a printed copy of the CMA, but we found that recording your screen to create a video explaining the updated valuation and emailing it to the seller is a game changer. In the fourth quarter of 2018, I did one unsolicited video CMA per workday. With holidays and days off, that totaled 72 unsolicited video CMAs done. Again, this was just in one quarter. Emailed over that 3-month period, which directly resulted in more than $11 million worth of listings. And here's what he did. Begin with the understanding that we will specifically target 3 main groups with these CMAs. People who have told you they were interested in selling within the next year or two. Okay, so probably people you have in your database, you picked them up maybe at an open house or and met them at a coffee shop, or a past client that's looking to sell here, soon, whatever. Past buyer clients who've lived in a home that you sold to them. This is somebody you could send this out to. You haven't talked to them in a couple of years. Send it out. People who are homeowners in your area that you've met through marketing activities. Consider sending one unsolicited video CMA per day, which is basically a 5 to 10 minute video informing the homeowners about their home's current value. Each one will take you about 30 minutes to create. In my case, each one of the videos I made was worth about $3,600 per hour based on the results I generated after doing 72 of these unsolicited video CMAs. Even in areas with a lower average price. Okay, so how to create video CMAs. To start, we'll pull up the following tools on a computer browser before we actually begin recording. Google Earth, the MLS with comparable homes, CMA data, and an estimated seller net sheet. Okay, so begin with Google Earth, plug the owner's address into the search bar so that as soon as you begin recording, you can click to search and the map will zoom directly to the owner's home from space. If you've never done that, do it. It's pretty fascinating. Google Earth, type in any address and just the way it zooms in, it's pretty cool. This technique is a small differentiator that will catch many people's attention because they won't likely have seen anyone do it before.
Mm-hmm.
It also looks high tech, and when the sellers see their own home, it will compel them to continue watching. Once we've started recording, we've zoomed in on the home. We'll click the MLS tab that shows active, pending, and sold comparable properties, which will give us access to all the information we need without having to try to remember it. Although we've already pulled this screen, we can show and talk about specific similar properties comparable to their home. Next, we'll access the CMA tab, which will provide data for 3 or 4 of the best comps to help the owner understand how we arrived at their home's value. Doing this allows us to narrow in on the best comps to the owner's home and give a range of estimated value to the homeowner. Then we'll display an estimated seller net sheet, which can be as simple as a Word document that includes the estimated selling price, typical closing costs for sellers in your market, and estimated net proceeds to the seller, excluding any mortgage payoff or prorations. Providing the estimated net number has the power to grab the owner's attention to help them fully understand the value of selling their home. And then he goes through this. So then you could record it on Zoom and just send it to them. BombBomb, you can do it. But the nice thing about BombBomb is it will, you can see when they open the email, when they watch the video, that kind of stuff. Whatever, you have to subscribe to that.
And
But
Jack,
again,
you could do that even in CRM Grow too,
yeah,
couldn't you?
yeah. If you have
Yeah,
CRM
for
Grow, you
people who
absolutely
have
can do
that.
it that way. There's
Mhm.
different ways to do it. kvCore has a video thing you can send
Mhm.
out stuff, whatever. But and then he's got kind of a script on here. Again, you could just, he's
That's
just walking you
fantastic.
through what he says with each of these. But you just send this out to people, and whatever. Hey, I hope this is helpful. It's been, it's been a while since we talked, whatever. I just want to give you an update. If I can help you in any way, if you know anybody looking to make a move, let me know. Have a great Christmas. Well, you could do one of these a day and seriously I could see it taking no more than 30 minutes. Just pull up the stuff and then just do the video one a day. And you do that for, again, 5 days a week for a quarter. He picked up $11 million in listings, in volume. So it's just a quick little simple thing. But when I read that, I'm like, wow, what a great idea.
That is a great idea.
And it's a simple thing to do. And again, you're just doing that to past clients. You're doing it to, again, people in your database, people you met at open houses, whatever. Maybe they have a house to sell, but just sending that out, possible sellers and what that could do. So just some things to think about. Inman News, if you're not subscribed, maybe something to think about as you go into the new year, $100, something like that for the year. They do have great stuff on there every week. There's good articles and things. But
Well, and the other thing that we've talked about sometimes that's really good is keeping current matters.
Mhm.
That's another good that has a lot of great articles, that has a lot of great data, similar to what Jeff was sharing earlier. So that's another great resource. And what is it, 29 a month or something?
something like that.
29 a month. So keeping current matters and Inman as professionals, I think those two resources we should all be a part of. Because
good
it's just such good information out there and that's the stuff, like we talked about this early about doing video. None of us like doing video, but we need to all be doing video. And if you're doing video with content to to the masses about real estate, you're going to be the one looking like the professional out there. More so than just somebody posting, hey, sold this house. Hey, I'm at the closing table with these pictures with sellers. Not that you shouldn't do that or not do that, but if you're doing video content of real information that shows you to be the expert, you're going to be top of mind when when those people are looking to make a move. And I love that guy's idea that you just read through. That's a great
Quick
idea.
little thing, and just to do one a day.
Yeah.
Simple thing. One thing I would tell you, and even like to take that video, those slides, I uploaded them into the Freedom Team workplace group, so you can find those slides in there. But like, even to record a 10-minute video on just kind of and post it, but then you can upload it to your YouTube. Everybody has a YouTube channel. If you got a Gmail account, whatever, you got a YouTube channel, upload it in there, and then you can take that link and now send that out. Just email that link out to all your database. Hey, just a quick update on the current state of the market. It's not as bad as we all think. It's not doom and gloom. If you're just reading the headlines, there's more to it. Check out this quick video. Have a great week. Whatever. Have a great Christmas. I mean, something you can send out to people. Again, it just puts you out as the expert, and you can use that. There's so many things you can do with that. So I do need to run. I got a hard out here at 10. I got another Zoom starting. Sean, good to see you. Thanks for jumping in.
You bet.
But guys, thank you very much for being on here. Kathy, anything else?
Nope. Yep.
Okay.
We're
We'll
all
wrap
good.
it up.
Thanks
We'll
for
have
being
this
here,
recording
everybody.
up there. Some good stuff today, guys. Thanks for being here. We'll be back next Tuesday, same time. Okay.
Yep.
Have a great
You
day.
guys.
Good day,
Thank you,
guys.
everyone.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
All right, bye-bye.